this question says that you should factorize completely 2xy minus 6pq minus 3py plus 4qx. So the idea of factorization is that if you have these four guys, so what I mean by four guys, so this is 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So you have to make sure that you group them into 2, 2. You group them into a pair, right? So first pair, so like a pair. What I mean by a pair is that like 2, 2, right? So 2, 2, because you have 4 here. And the thing is that if you pick the first guy, you have to look for each partner. What I mean by each partner is that you have to make sure that if you combine this guy with any of these three guys here, you must have something in common, right? They must have something in common. So here, if I pick this guy, which is a 2xy minus 6pq, you can see that these two of them, they don't have anything in common. The only thing they have in common is the 2 here. I can see 2 here. I can also see 2 out of the negative 6 here. Apart from that, these two guys, the variables here are not common. So you need to go and look for each partner. So what I mean by the partner here, you can see that this guy and this guy have something in common, right? So the 4qs and then 2sy, they have something in common. So the next thing is that you have to make sure that you rearrange. Is that okay? You have to rearrange this guy. So by saying that 2sy plus 4qx, right? So here is the attention here. So the sign in front of this guy here is what belongs to what? You, right? Anything in front of you is what the mistake that students you have been doing is they interchange the positive and the negative one, right? So the one in front of you is what belongs to you. So make sure that you watch the video to the end and see all the tricks under the factorization. Okay, once you rearrange these two guys, you can see that this guy and this guy, they have something in common, as well as this guy and this guy also have something in common. What do they have in common? What is the twins here, or what are the twins that you are having here? So here you can see the 2x here, right? So the numbers, there's a 2 here, there's 4 here. So what they have in common is what? Is 2. And then the variables too, they have what? X in common. So let's bring that one out. So you are going to take the 2x out here. So when you brought the 2x out, so you can see that here you are left with just y. And then what about the second part? Second part you'll be left with 2q, right? So you'll be left with a 2q. So here, if you expand this guy, you have to see that you are going to get the same thing, because this 2s multiplied by that will give me this, and this guy multiplied by that will also give me this one, right? Okay, what about the second part? So the second part here with the numbers, you can see that they have a negative 3 in common, right? So they have a negative 3 in common. There's a p here, there's a p here. So let's bring the p out, right? So when you brought the p out, so you are going to have negative 3p here. And then the bracket here will be left with here we are going to be left with 2q, right? So 2q here, and then here we are also going to be left with y. Remember, I said something at the beginning of this video that in factorization, once you factor out in terms of maybe let's say 4 guys like this, you have to make sure that two of the brackets, it has to be the same, right? So this guy and this guy has to be the same. Is that okay? For that reason, let's just rearrange this guy here, because here we are having y plus 2q, and then we are having 2q plus y. They are the same, right? They are the same because of additions are commutative. Is that okay? So let's just rearrange this guy for you to look like what this guy here. Are you there? So here we are going to have what 2x, and then minus this guy. So this guy, the one outside, will go into what? One bracket, right? So this guy and this guy here will go into what? One bracket, and then this guy and this guy also into one bracket, right? So this guy is exactly what we are seeing here. So we are just going to repeat one of the guys. So this guy and this guy into one bracket, and then one of these guys into one bracket. So this is how simple you factorize. So look at the next question here. Now the next question here, it says that 6x squared minus 5s minus 6. Is that okay? Now this guy here is what we call what? A quadratic, right? So what is a quadratic, or who exactly do you call what? A quadratic? It looks like don't let this thing scare you. Is that okay? Don't let this thing scare you. So you have as squared plus bs plus c. So I will explain this thing in just a few seconds. So what I mean by that, if you compare this guy to what we are having here, you can see that the a is the one that is attached to the x square here, right? So a here is the friend of what? The x square. So in this case it's 6, and then b is the one that is attached to just x. So in this case it's negative 5, and then c is the final guy here, that is what? Negative 6, right? So these are the three guys that we are having. We call it a quadratic because it begins with x square. Well, so this variable can change, right? This variable can change once it begins with x square, and this guy here can never be negative or 0. Is that okay? So that is what we call a quadratic. Now there's an issue, factorize. Is that okay? So how can you factorize this guy? So you are going to use a machine or a tool that is called a quadratic or a tool or factorization method here. So let's see how to do that. So the step here is that you first of all need to pick what? AC. So as I just explained, A and C, meaning that A multiplied by C here. So our A is 6, and then this guy was a negative, so that should be what? A negative 36. Is that okay? So the C was what? A negative here. Are you there? C was a negative, and then the A is what? 6 here. So AC meaning that A multiplied by C. So A is 6, and then C was a negative 6. So this guy multiplied that should be a negative 36. Now the next step is to find the factors of what? Anything that you had here, right? So the factors of this guy here, the factors of what? Negative 36. How do you find the factors of what? Any number? So you pick any two numbers that if you multiply, it will give you the 36, right? Or negative 36. Now look at the trick here. Once you have the factors here, you need to add positive and negative to all the factors. So here we are having 1, so 1 positive or negative 1, comma, and then positive and negative 2, and then comma, positive and negative 3, comma, positive and negative 4, and so on and so forth. Is that okay? Now why are we doing this? We are doing this thing because you want to pick any of the two factors, right? Any of these two factors that first, if you multiply, right? If you multiply, it should give us the C here, which is the negative 36, and then if you add the same factors that we choose, you are just going to choose any of the two factors here. The first step is that if you multiply, it must give us this guy here, right? The AC, which is negative 36, and then if you add, you have to get a B, right? So you have to get a B here. So what is the B? The B is negative 5. Is that okay? So the B here was what? Negative 5. So we are going to choose any of these two factors here, any of both positive and negative. If you multiply the two of them, that multiplication must give you the negative 36. And then if you add the same factors, don't go for different factors. If you add the same factors, it should give you what? The B. So B in our case here is what? Negative 4. I guess you should pause the video and try that. Okay, if you try that, I think you are going to pick a negative 9 and then what? Positive 4. Is that okay? So if you multiply this guy by that guy, that should give me a negative 36 here. If you add it to, you can see that that gives me a negative 5. This is exactly what we are talking about. So this is what the AC that we had earlier on. That is what negative 36. And then the B from the question here is negative 5. Exactly. Is that okay? So these are the two factors that we are going to pick. Once you have these two factors, we are going to replace this guy by what? The B, right? We are just going to replace this guy by the B here. So the B here is negative 5, right? So the B here is negative 5. We are going to replace the B by the two factors that we had. So here, straightforward, you can see that we are going to have 6x squared here minus 9x. Remember that there's x that is attached to the B, right? There's an x that is attached to the B. So minus 9x, and then here is also plus 4x. So these are the two guys that we are replacing the B by. Is that okay? We are not doing anything to this guy. We are not doing anything to this guy. The only thing that we are doing is just at the middle. Okay, so now that we replace here, straightforward, we can factorize. Is that okay? We can factorize from this point. So this guy and this guy, what do they have in common? They have 3s in common. So let's bring the 3s out. So here we left it 2x here, and then here we left it negative 3, right? So what about these two guys? These two guys also only 2 in common. So let's bring the 2 out here, and then we are left with 2x here, and then here we also be left with negative 3. Remember, these two brackets has to be the same once we factorize. Okay, now what do? You just need to group this guy, which is the 3s, and then the 2 here into one bracket, and then these two guys just need to repeat 1. As simple as that. Okay, this is how you factorize. So if you enjoyed the video so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more lessons like this. Look at this one. Look at this guy here. So here is all about factorization. So make sure that you understand everything. If you do you have any issue, try and comment in the comment section below. Okay, now I have a question for you. So here's the next question here. That says that 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. I guess you should try this thing and give us your answer in the comment section, right? Okay, now here you have what x squared plus what as minus what x and then minus a, right? So they say you should factorize. So factorization here is that what do they have? This guy and this guy, do they have anything in common? And then this guy and this guy, do they have anything in common? So of course it's yes, right? It's yes, because they have something in common. Now you can see from here that this guy and this guy, they have x in common, right? So let's bring the x out here. So let's bring the x out. The x is out here. So here we'll be left with what? 1x here, and then here also we'll be left with what? Plus a, right? So this is what about these two guys? These two guys has negative 1 in common. Can you see? There's 1 here, negative 1 in front of these two guys, right? So they have the negative 1 in common. So negative 1 here, and then we are left. Once I brought the negative 1 out, here we are left with x, and then here tends to be positive. Don't let that thing deceive you. Is that okay? Okay, my trick here is that once you factorize, make sure that you expand the bracket and see if you are going to get the same thing that has what be given to you. If you don't get the same thing, then there is a mistake in your factorization. Okay, now so this guy and this guy will be in one bracket, and then we repeat one of what the bracket. So here's a very concrete one here. So before you get there, look at this question. That says x squared and then plus 4s plus or 3 plus mx or plus or 3m here. They say you should factorize. So, okay, that is the question. So you should factorize. What do you do? So the trick here is that you see the first three parts here is what a quadratic, right? So the first three parts here is what quadratic. Can you see? So this guy and this guy here is what quadratic. There's a plus here. So you solve the first three parts in terms of a quadratic, right? So you are going to have two brackets here. Is that okay? So two brackets. When you solve this guy here will just be plus what m out, right? So m out here you are going to have s and then plus what plus 3. Is that okay? So you just need to solve this quadratic using the quadratic method that we have been using so far, and then you continue from there, right? So here you are going to have 3 solutions to the entire. So when you are done, I think one of the factorization here will be similar to these 3s here, right? Comment down below if you have any issue on this type of thing. So let's look at this one. So here's another one that says that 2xy minus 6mn minus 3mi plus 4nx, right? So we are going to factorize this guy here. So what do? Once again, you need to check whether two people, what do they have in common, right? So this guy and this guy, they don't have anything in common. So but you can see that this guy and this guy, they have something in common, as well as this guy and this guy also have something in common. So the best thing is that you need to what rearrange, right? So you have to arrange them. So let's bring up this guy. As I said earlier on, I made a disclaimer that here this guy and this guy, yeah, the sign in front of you is exactly what belongs to you. So don't be confused about that. Is that okay? So here will be what 2xy and then minus what minus this guy, right? So minus what 3my here, and then we are going to repeat this guy. That's what the negative for 6mn and then plus what 4ns, right? So okay, very simple. Now what do they have in common? So they have y in common. So let's bring the y out here. So we are left with 2x and then minus what 3m here. Is that okay? So this guy here, look at the trick here. This guy here is that I have at the back of my mind that this guy and this guy has to be the same, right? Anything in this bracket and this guy bracket here, they always have to be the same here. Is that okay? So here let's bring what 2n out, right? So let's bring 2n out of these two guys. So n is there, we can get 2 here, 2 here. Why negative? Why not negative here? Because if you brought a negative, you're not going to have these two brackets the same. You may try that. You may try to bring what negative 2n here and see whether if these two brackets are the same, right? So here let's put what 2n out here. So 2n out here, we are going to left with negative 3m plus 2n here. 2s here, right? Is that okay? Okay, now we want this guy and this guy has to be the same, so let's rearrange this guy. Let's rearrange this guy. So you are going to have what, 2s here first, and then minus what, minus 3. Now you can see that this and these are the same. Since they are the same, what are we are going to do? You just need to repeat these two guys here. That's all into one room here. That is what the y plus 2n here, and then repeat one of these guys, which is 2x or minus 3n. If you've enjoyed this video here, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, share the video, and then like and comment down below if you have any issues. So thank you for watching it.